David Mencer, a senior international connector and honest reporting, and a former Boris Johnson aide, should I say?
I have aided him in the past, that's correct.
Okay. Joins us now in studio. Thank you very much for coming in.
Nice to see you.
Difficult times for Johnson yet again. It seems like a scandal comes after another, et cetera, in the last few months for him. What is his best way out of this if you were to advise him? And today is a day in Parliament where he's going to get a lot of fire, probably. What is his best way out of this?
Look, I think that the Boris Johnson show, the magician Boris Johnson, the conjurer Boris Johnson, the political manoeuvre extraordinaire Boris Johnson, I think the show is coming to an end. Even his best friends would tell him that right now. I think that it's almost impossible for him to remain in office for very, very much longer. From Boris's point of view, you know, if you ask Boris right now, he will be dragged out of number 10. I mean, this is not someone who is worried about his prestige or his honor or sort of the sort of thing that Tony Blair did, leaving at his own time, or even Margaret Thatcher leaving before she was embarrassed to leave, or even David Cameron leaving the day after the Brexit vote. He will be dragged out of number 10. He will stay there as long as he possibly can. I always think of what his mother told him. He told his mother, rather, when he was a kid. You know, she asked him, "What do you want to be when you grow up, Boris?" And he said, "I want to be world king." Now that is the sort of understanding you need to understand about Boris Johnson.
Reminds me of another ginger in the United States.
Indeed. So, and there are similarities in that sense. You're absolutely right. There are very much similarities. But this sort of two resignations of senior cabinet ministers, his own chancellor, the health secretary, of course, very important in COVID and coming out of COVID. These are absolutely catastrophic for him. I think, make no mistake, it's very difficult. And also his credibility in the country. He's just lost 2 by-elections. Conservative MPs are asking them the very simple question: will I win my seat at the next general election? Will Boris be the person to get me my seat? They're very ruthless, Conservative MPs and the party as a general, and they're coming to the conclusion now that the answer is no. It's not an election.
What are the polls looking like?
They're looking very bad for him, to be blunt. They're looking very, very bad for him. So he's known as a magician. You know, he's known as someone that can pull a rabbit out of a hat. That's what he does all the time, constantly, for years. But he's running out of road. Famously, Max Hastings, a famous newspaper editor, said about him about 10, 15 years ago, Boris has a detached relationship with the truth. That was how he described it. And it just could be that he's running out of road here.
Now, one last question. Looking at elections, if they are to take place, is the Labour Party in a position to capitalize on the situation right now within the Conservative Party, or will we see the Conservatives continuing in power, and if so, under whose leadership? So
the Conservatives right now, if I was a Conservative strategist, I would probably advise against a general election right now. Certainly Sir Keir Starmer, the Labour Party, was calling for an immediate general election. I don't see that happening in the immediate future. That would obviously be very, very good for Sir Keir.
It's okay, we have enough elections here for everyone.
Indeed. Look, the relationships between Bibi and Boris, there are some similarities here. But the difference here in Israel is Bibi's members of Knesset still believe he is an election winner. The difference in the UK is he's lost the trust. Already 41% a couple of weeks ago said, we don't think you're going to win the next general election. Now it's probably even more so. Now, the Conservatives won't want a general election. They will want a change of leader. That's what they want. They want a leader in office, and because a general election doesn't have to take place until 2024, there's a 5-year cycle. They'll want to use all of that time, possibly, and so they'll want to change leader. The runners and riders, I would say, are people like Penny Mordaunt, quite an accomplished Conservative member of Parliament who's very, very popular. I think the papers today were calling her the favourite, and of course people like Rishi Sunak and Sajid Javid, also very, very strong.
The two resignators.
Yeah, the two resignators, absolutely. But think about that, you know, politically and culturally as well. 2 Asian potential prime ministers of the United Kingdom. You know, is this Britain's Obama moment. Very, very significant. And once again, it's the Conservatives who are pushing the envelope when it comes to cultural change. Of course, Margaret Thatcher being the first female Prime Minister, not the Labour Party, who think of themselves as progressive and into that sort of whole liberal agenda about inviting ethnic minorities into the most senior offices of the land. So very, very interesting times in British politics, but I think for Boris, who I consider as a friend, I like him a lot, but I think that he's just simply running out of road at this time.
Fascinating. David Mencer, thank you very much for coming.